City Council to order this Monday, July 7th, 2025, 5:30 p.m. here at the Red Oak Fire Station located at 1904 North Broadway. This meeting is being recorded and it is also available on Zoom. I believe we have Councilman Bills with us. Invocation, Pastor No Hernandez of Faith Community Church, and we want to say welcome to you and your family.
Thank you. You mentioned myself. I'm the lead pastor here at the community church, and it's been a few months. Excited to run into you in town throughout my time here, and I'm looking forward to it. If I may start with reading from chapter 1 of Proverbs. It says, "Let the wise listen to these proverbs and become even wiser. Let those with understanding receive guidance by exploring meaning of these proverbs and parables. The word of the wise and their riddles. Fear of the Lord is the foundation of true knowledge. But fools despise wisdom and discipline. My child, listen when your father corrects you. Don't neglect your mother's instructions." Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening, and Lord, as we gather here in this council, Lord, I pray that you give them great wisdom to seek what is best for the citizens of this city. Lord, may you guide their conversations, and may you give them great conversations, Lord, and great input in whatever the agenda has for them forward. And we ask these things in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. When did you arrive in Red Oak and where are you from?
Okay, so I arrived in Red Oak about 2 years ago. We're from the Red Oak, Essex area. My wife is just grew up right outside of Essex. She's a flower farmer, and we have ties with Faith Community Church for the past 20 years. Okay. So she grew up also as Essex, and this has been her church since then.
I see.
But we've been a lead pastor here at church since March, so okay. A handful of months.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Thank you. And thank you for being here. All right. Sharon, would you lead us in a pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the floor looks very nice. I love the emblem. It's not near as noisy as I thought it would be either. And the paint of the wood panel is also nice and refreshing. So thank you. Roll call, Ashley.
Bradley.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
Right off.
Here.
Hebrew.
Here.
Number 5 is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Right off.
I'll second.
Bradley. Roll call.
Bill.
Yes.
Right off.
Yes.
Hebrew.
Yes.
Bradley. Yes.
All right. Number 6 is resolution 2025-78. This is the appointment of Ward 1 council member. We have had 3 applicants, of which I believe all 3 are present in the audience today. Levi Franks and Billy Durr and Janice Lester. We have their applications in our packet, and I assume you've all reviewed them. So I would just open the floor for conversation amongst you and then a motion to approve the resolution if you so choose.
But you want to offer a recommendation, Mayor? I mean, you do that a lot of times.
I felt like all 3 applications were really nicely done. I think all 3 individuals would bring a great side to the conversation. I feel this is a 2-year term, and my suggestion would be Janice Lester as a former council person. She ran as a registered applicant last time. And I think she lost by a very slim margin. So with her 12 years experience on the council, serving as mayor pro tem for several years, both mayors, myself and Mayor Billings, that would be my recommendation, but I'll open the floor for you.
I also reviewed all three applicants, and I thought it was great that we did receive three applicants for the position. I think that they come from a different area, all of them, and have a lot to offer. But I believe that Janice would be our best choice with her experience and what we need on the council right now.
Okay. Brian? Do you have anything?
You know, I feel the same way, and I will encourage every applicant to run for office when it's available to them to do so, because we do need good qualified people, and I feel like everybody that put in their application is qualified. I will say, and I kind of have to agree with Sharon, that I feel like we need somebody that can hit the ground running at this point. We have a lot of stuff going on, and Janice is familiar with everything. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. Once again, I really appreciate the other two gentlemen, and if either one of them would like my assistance to run for council in the future, I mean, I'm willing to help them out however I can.
Absolutely. Thank you. Tim?
I can't disagree with any of that. I think that, again, all three would be well qualified to do the job. I'm happy to go with whatever the council wishes to do.
Adam?
Very much Tim said what I was thinking.
This is, you guys
Do you need a motion to?
I would need a motion of some sort.
I'll make the motion that we approve and appoint Janice Lester to the vacant position of John Hester.
This is a
Ward
2.5
one.
year
Ward
term. Ward 1. Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, roll call.
Right off,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Just again, this term actually expires December 31st of 2027. So it is to just fill this vacancy. So now we're going to swear in the candidate for Ward 1 appointment. And I believe you're going to take a seat at the table. Hopefully you read the
Jump
packet.
right in.
I did. You should be able to, how about if I just come up here? We can.
I'd just like to thank again the applicant for going to the trouble of sending a letter, and because that's what we need, our citizens to respond to what we're asking.
I mean.
Yeah.
All that are nice.
I agree, yeah.
Absolutely.
But then he would.
I think we all agree. Right, so she says two-sided, so you can read it.
I can read it.
All right, so, I state your name,
I, Janice Lester,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and I will faithfully and impartially,
and I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of Ward 1 City Council member
discharge all the duties of Ward 1 City Council member
in Red Oak, Iowa,
in Red Oak, Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law.
Okay.
And I'm. I do sincerely hope, and I hope that the other candidates do run, because I do think they're very qualified. I'm honored, thank you, everybody, I'm honored to fill this position for now. And I'm very excited for Red Oak. Will and I retired here, we raised our kids here, we decided to stay here because we believe in Red Oak. And I 100%, I'm so excited about the possibilities of this Iowa with the Lincoln Foundation. So I think that is such an awesome thing that's gonna happen to Southwest Iowa. So with that, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Much.
I'm gonna have you sign this, my dear. Sure, sign it.
Yeah, welcome back, Janice.
Thank you. Yes.
I wish I would do it.
That's it, right there.
And Sharon, I want to echo everything that you said as well. I mean, I really appreciate everybody that showed interest in it, and I hope that they will continue to in the future.
Exactly.
Just sign this and then have one for you at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Here's the penny. And then part of it. And I too thank both of the other candidates very much, and I do hope that both of you will consider running. So. Excellent. Number 8 is proclamation of special notices. Do we have it?
Do you want to say, to the two of you that wanted to get involved, I believe, I need to double check, but I believe we have a, vacancy on planning and zoning. And so if you would like to be involved, either, Levi or Lily, if you are interested in that, that would also be a way for you to get involved in city government. We can probably advertise one more time just to be official, and then if you're interested, sometimes, at least in other communities I've worked in, sometimes people get involved at the committee level. And that gives you some good experience to kind of be more familiar with city government. So if either of you are interested, let me know. We I think I think we have 6 people on there and we need 7.
Can you tell them when the meetings typically are?
They meet at 8:30 in the morning on one Monday a month, on the 3rd Monday. So I don't know what your schedules are. Yeah, so let me know. We'll talk about it, but it's a way for you to get involved.
It'd be a great way to really learn
Good,
a
a
lot.
nice way to have.
That's a great position. Yeah.
To be involved, and then when you do run, it's something to be able to say that you've been involved in, so let us know.
Okay. Number 9 is public comments. We do have a 3-minute limit and you must sign in at the front to speak. Do we have any comments?
We do not,
Okay. None online as well?
none online.
Okay. Number 10, department report, street report, Chris Baird. Would you like to come up? I know you provided your report in the packet. Is there anything you want to touch on?
Well, I guess one of the big things is probably we're really close to having a shop back to 100% where the tornado was. That's seems like it's been a long deal, and it's really nice to have a plate shop again. We got a little bit of work to do on the outside. The guys were busy cleaning up outside today and trying to clean some of that up. One of the other big projects that we've been working on is the street lights around the square. We got that 100% done now, up and down all the main streets. I think there was like 70 some of them they changed out, so. And now our next plan is to work on the lights on Broadway. They're not as good at rebates, but they're easier to install, so it should work out that we should be able to replace about half of them this year is what I'm planning on. I guess one of the other big things we've been doing is moving black dirt from the pile up at the townhouse area. We moved about 150 loads to cemetery in our shop, and I'd say with our trucks, there's probably another 400 or 500 loads, so. We did get over to where they needed us to, but we're probably gonna haul a little more just to be safely away from when they start building that condo that's gonna go next to that townhouse, so. Otherwise, our 2 new trucks are here. Well, I've got everything, snowplow, hate to talk about that, but it's fitted in Des Moines with the toolboxes and they're gonna pick it up tomorrow. And then the other ones we're waiting on the flatbed, probably won't be till the 1st of September. And like I said earlier, the dump truck's about 2 years out on the rest of it, so. Otherwise, that's a lot of the projects, just ongoing mowing and cleaning and working with nuisance properties, trying to help out those where we can.
You had a lot of trees down branches.
We've had a lot of trees. We've had probably most trees we've had in years, but
Yeah.
it seems like the last few months is. Don't seem like we get much of a storm and we get 2 or 3 big lands, so. I kind of went out and made a list of some of the trees that I want to get on the list that I'm into a new budget area now and start taking some more down, so. Trying to work on that, and prevent some of them. You can look at some of them and not tell them, some of them,
I know.
it's just hard to tell on some of them, so.
We got those 6 roads. We did some overlay to replace some
We have done this, they came in and did the small patching and did the alley north of Corning between Fourth and Fifth. It turned out really nice. I know the people there appreciated it.
Good.
It was well in need, but the big one on Fourth Street and Bluegrass Road and those, hopefully they keep staying next week, but
Okay.
the weather's kind of holding it back too, so. I think that's most of what I got, unless you got some questions on anything.
I got called Chautauqua again.
It's, the rain just keeps messing us up down in that bottom. It is on our deal, so.
Chris, I guess I have one question for you, Chris. I know we talked about it a while back about rearranging how we do the leaf drop off and maybe securing our area down there. Have we talked about that anymore? Have we got any kind of plans going on with that?
We're still talking, trying to do some figuring. That's why we're trying to get stuff cleaned up. It's right now it's so wet down in that area that we need to try to take some of the dirt pile and build that area up, and then we're gonna either do some changing with the fences, or else we're gonna get some of those concrete blocks, the large ones that possibly we could move if we needed to get into something instead of having a permanent fence on part of it. But yeah, we're still working on that. It's just, we want to do it right when we do it.
Right. I think it's important that we maintain our leaf drop off pile, but I also think it's important we secure our area down there too.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a time frame when we're gonna start pulling up that old chain link fence?
It's gonna be all replaced. We're just
Yeah.
waiting on the contractor to, we got the iron and everything out of there in the last week or two.
Oh, nice.
Guys have been mowing and trying to clean away from it, so. So that'll be our next project to try to complete the tornado stuff, so.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Need to add Janice to roll call, Gordon.
Oh, yes.
Alrighty. Number 11, consent agenda, the approval of the minutes from the city council meeting of June 16th, 2025, and the special meeting on June 25th, 2025. The liquor licenses for 518, this is their annual liquor license, and also the July 7th, 2025 claims to be paid. Take a motion to approve.
All motion to approve.
Bradley,
Second.
right off. Is there any discussion?
I tried to catch up as best I could with the minutes. I just want you to know that.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
if there's something blatant that's needs changed, otherwise they did look good to me, but whether with the consent agenda.
The
I just
financial,
want you to know.
the financial
only-
reports are really nice, aren't they?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the only thing that's changed since you've been around, Janice, is the way that we're being presented with the financial information is very understandable, and I really appreciate the way I'm getting it now.
If you have any questions tonight, please let us know.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, roll call.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
right off.
Yes.
All right, number 12 is presentation of plans and specifications for the Oakwood Avenue water replacement, and JEO is supposed to be presenting to us tonight. Oh, they're not.
So if there's any questions, we've discussed the plans, but the way state law requires is when you are preparing, the council makes a final vote saying that you're receiving these plans as what you want the project to be, and then authorizing to bid it out. And then there'll be a public hearing, which is scheduled a month from now at our first meeting in August on the 4th. So I emailed you the plans separately so that we didn't have a huge document for the packet. You'll recall that a few months ago, our goal last year was to try and obtain easements on the north side of Oakwood Avenue. We were not successful either. It's all or nothing, obviously. So if you have one holdout, there's nothing you can do. You can't, kind of jog around that person. So the council, a few meetings back, authorized for us to redesign it so that we would stay within the right of way. So it would be on the north side there. I think if you look in the packet on page, there's a small design of what it is. Page 31 of the packet. So you can see the pipe there. Actually, it's on the south side.
So I reviewed all these documents that we had in our packet. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, anything unusual about the project at all.
Some south side.
Yeah, sorry, it's on the
South
south side now.
We do.
So the reason that we focus on that, even though it's super, you know, a very small area, is that we've had a significant amount of water issues in that area with breaks, and so that was kind of our highest priority to take on a project. So all you're doing tonight is authorizing to let out, for bidding, and then to set the public hearing. We'll put an ad in the paper, and then we would proceed. And you'll get it back at you.
So actually then number 13 would be to approve resolution 2025-83, authorizing the bid letting and set the public hearing for August 4th at 5:30 PM for Oakwood Avenue water replacement. Water main replacement.
You're looking for a motion?
Please.
So moved.
Okay, Bills,
I'll second.
Bradley. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Lester,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebrink.
Yes.
All right, number 14 is resolution 2025-79, advertisement. What? You're gonna die. Oops, do you need to sit over here? This is advertisement of the city, sale of city lots. There's 16 city lots for sale that were, Lisa is seeking our permission to sell.
Here.
The sealed bids would be due no later than 3 PM on Tuesday, August 12th. And must be submitted on the city provided bid form. For the 5 properties pending demolition, final sale, 5 of those do include those. Final sale and closing shall occur only after the demolition has been completed. So they've been included in the bid process. Following the receipt and review of all bids, the city council will hold a final public hearing to consider the proposed sales and to allow for public comment before formally approving the sale of any lots. The city does reserve the right to reject any and all bids received.
I think the conversation that I'd like the council to have is, in my opinion, when we have public land that does benefit the buyers, there's obviously a benefit to us to get rid of the lots and to get them back on the tax roll. But I don't think we're looking for any exorbitant amount of money. But I don't really think it's best practice to say that we'll sell land for $1. There is some value. And so if you look at my spreadsheet on there, I put the current assessed value of the land. And that in the ad that we would place in the paper, we would be saying that while we're not expecting it to be exactly that, that it is not our intention to be selling land for $1. You know, that if it's worth $3,000 on the tax roll and you bid 1,000 or 2,000, even that seems acceptable to me. But to say $1. And then the other thing that I think you didn't do in the past that I'm encouraging is that we're asking on the bid form to say what your plan is for the lot and what your timeline is. So if someone was buying it to build a house, that's one thing. If they're, you know, like 2 neighbors are gonna come in together and wanna split it to make their yard bigger, obviously then if someone was saying one or both of those 2 things, we would prefer to have more tax value. But I don't think in the past that you ever asked anybody what their intention was on the actual form. So it is my intention to say, we're not really looking to sell it for $1. We're not also looking to have an outrageous amount of money. Please look at the assessed value and that'll be in the ad. And then tell us what your timeline is, and what you intend to do with the lot. And then that will be part of the decision that we make. So the intent would be, we advertise now, we get bids in a month. I gave like a full month from by the time it gets in the paper. And then we'll give ourselves a little bit of time to review those. You know, we'll kind of see if some have them. The other thing that I sent the list to SWIPCO to ask Ally's assistance. And we are there's a picture of every lot that'll go on Facebook. Like to me, the ad in the paper is one thing, but it's not super effective to help people know where it is. And so we've, Hannah from the library helped me create an actual Canva picture of every lot. So it says lot number 1 through 14. It has the address, the assessed value, if it's in the floodplain or not. And then an actual picture with a red X on where that lot is. I think the other thing that would be wise of us is to make some mailing labels to each neighbor, like the owners, and then do, especially for the ones in the floodplain, make sure that the neighbors are aware we're selling it. In case they're interested in that, because again, it's relying on them seeing it on Facebook, seeing an ad, talking about it tomorrow on the radio, things like
Now
that.
I have a question. How do we enforce the intention of what happens to the lot? Because I've seen lots in the past become garbage and, just junk spaces and storage. And I just don't think that our intention, if they follow through with what they're intended to be, it needs to be enforced.
So you can
You know,
have a
Sharon-
clawback. Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry, but I will say, Sharon, I think that if we follow Lisa's advice and we don't give the lots away basically for $1, I think if people actually have to invest in them, they'll find a reasonable purpose for them and not just collect junk. So I think that'll aid to that concern. But I do appreciate your concern and I agree with what you're saying.
I do think it would also be wise to include that if they're going to build a house, that they have to take into consideration the flood requirements. And also that's really why we accepted the dirt from the townhomes, is to be able to use that to help build those up. So maybe somehow.
So what
have
I'm
that-
gonna do is it'll say if it's in the floodplain on our little picture on Facebook, and then I think I'm gonna do some sort of an asterisk on the ad before I send it to the paper that says in the floodplain. So I think we have, 3 of the lots that are not in any sort of flood restrictions. And depending on the price that we would get, I would also say that we may want to decide not to sell those. I don't want to keep a lot of them because it's a huge manpower issue for us mowing 16 lots.
Mhm.
And we have other things to be doing. But if there were 2 or 3 that we wanted to retain, looking at Lakin and things like that, Habitat for Humanities, for example, in other communities, when I've been there, you know, a city's contribution can often be a lot that instead of Habitat having to purchase it from a private person, that can sometimes encourage them to do projects like that. The one on Knuckles, that's part of our demolition, which is a super nice lot, is not in the floodplain. So that would definitely be one. There's a lot of trees around there.
That's a nice, yeah, it's a nice lot.
And so, and then the other thing that I want to do is I'm going to send the list of all of them that are in the floodplain and be able to see if the Jason Kahn from the DNR can help me to establish what the elevation is. And then maybe we even invest in what does it have to be, you know, how like when you're in a floodplain, you have to add to the lot to be a foot above the 100-year floodplain. And so we could see, again, to the point of having all this dirt that we want to get rid of anyway. I don't really appreciate having that ginormous pile down there at the shop. It's in the way.
Mhm.
So we could look at whether or not, you know, it's super doable. Like, is this a 4-foot, you know, somebody's gonna be on a perch around their neighborhood and it's not gonna work? Or is it a foot or so? Because if you're starting with a vacant lot, you obviously have the ability, if it's a reasonable amount of dirt, to increase it. And so if we could say, like, you know, this one requires an elevation increase of what? Like, how off are they?
Previously, there was a lot of lots that were sold to neighbors.
Right.
And several of those, they built garages on,
Mhm.
you know, that sort of thing, so that
Yep.
you're saying the letters to the neighbors would probably be good, because some of them will
We
be
just
very
don't know.
interested, yeah.
Right, and I've had a few other people, you know, throughout my 9 months here say like, I wanna buy this one and I wanna buy that one, and I'm like, I'm not gonna willy-nilly go to the council and just say, someone came forward on this one.
Mhm.
I keep saying like, watch Facebook, watch,
Mhm.
when we do it, we just need to have a sweep of all of them at the same time, and so hopefully we'll get some attention, and I think having these pictures on Facebook that show every lot, you know, people will have an easier time understanding that, but we'll try to do property owners on both sides. We can do a mailer to them, or if we know who they are, just send it to
I
them.
work if we take.
I like the idea of keeping a couple of those lots that we could use for habitat or something.
Right.
And that's
I just think it's worth
great
at
idea.
least seeing what we get, and if we have 3 that are buildable and we wanna keep 2, and we pick the one that we get the best price on. So I think it's still worth keeping them on the list. And then to answer your question, you can have a clawback. You know, obviously, if we're just selling them to be vacant, you don't really need a clawback. Either they're gonna use it or they're not. If somebody says a garage and the reason we're picking you, or they wanna build a house, things like that. We can certainly have the paperwork be drafted by Bree. to include a timeline of reasonableness based on what the people say, and you can get a clawback restriction that says if you do nothing and haven't done substantial completion of what you're requiring in 18 months, a year, whatever they have suggested and the council's reasonable with, you can have a clawback. They get their money back and we get a clawback. So let's wait and see what that is, and that could be a condition of a sale if you were concerned.
So I like
And
everything that's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say, I like everything that's been said, but I want to just throw this out there for consideration. Instead of retaining lots that are not in the flood zone and immediately buildable, that could get on the tax rolls sooner, if we sold them, perhaps we should retain ones that we could raise up with the dirt that we presently own and put them, and develop them ourselves into buildable lots. And when I say that, something that we don't talk about when we talk about raising up lots is, in order to make that happen, you have to have it engineered, because if you raise one lot up, you're changing the drainage for all the lots around you. So you can't just raise up your lot and expect to be good. You have to have that whole thing engineered. So I really feel like if we're going to retain some, I think we should retain some that have the possibility for us to turn into buildable lots. And I think we should sell the buildable ones and, get the money and get them on the tax rolls. That's my personal thought. Sorry, I interrupted.
That's kind of what I was gonna say, Brian, so you stole my thunder there.
Sorry about that.
No, that's great. That's perfect. I'm in agreement. That's why we've got the dirt, and if we're gonna look at engineering to see what that level is anyway, to me, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, it might be an incentive for people to build too, if we do the engineering and build the dirt and the dirt stuff.
Yeah.
And you can see the prices on the lot for assessed values are as low as, the lowest one is $1,500.
I don't think we should go below a certain amount. Cause
Well-
there's also legal fees and such we had to cover.
Correct.
So,
And then again, there's two that are next to each other in the case of the 108 C Street and the lot behind it. And then the two asterisks that I have for 107 and 109 4th Avenue. I feel like if they're together, we should sell them as one lot. So I'm gonna advertise those as one, which is how we have 16 parcels and 14 sales.
So will you pay for the resurvey then, for or the replatting of it then?
You don't have to replat it as long as whoever closes on it deeds both parcels to the same. We can require that they combine them, and it's a simple, I've dealt with this with a couple people already where it's a simple request of the county to combine them as long as they're adjacent and deeded exactly the same. Like if you put
I
a
see.
middle initial in one and not the other, then it's not okay. But if they're identically deeded, they will eliminate the two parcels, combine them into one, and you don't have to get it surveyed.
I see. I was unaware of that possibility. Thank you.
and I would really prefer to see something of valuation going on those instead of just leaving them blank if possible.
Right. Well, I put in the ad, again, this sheet that's behind this list on page, whatever, 32-ish, 35. That's just 35. It makes it clear in there. This is the ad that will go in the paper, but it talks about will require bidders, that the bidders state their intention with the lot. If the bidder wins the bid in the intended timeline, the city will select the winning bidder based on a combination of price and intentions for the lot. Adding future tax base versus leaving it vacant will carry higher weight in the council's decision. So we're making that clear.
Perfect.
And I said, the city also expects a bid price that is reasonably compared to the assessed value, not a $1 bid. I mean, they can bid $1, but when we have to decide if we wanna.
I think there's value to those kind of bids, like in an instance where you have a piece of property the city owned that, has absolutely no buildable value, like maybe a real narrow piece of ground or something. I see no reason why we can't sell properties like that for $1. But, if it's a full size lot, even if it's a smaller inner city lot, they do have some value. I would agree on that.
We still have costs involved though with.
I think the key though, Brian, is that it does add value to a person going from a 45-foot lot to a 90-foot lot, even if they get a 45-foot lot. And so they do add value. Their property becomes more sellable and at the cost of the taxpayers who spent a lot of money to clean it up.
No,
Again-
that's not, you misunderstood my point. That wasn't the point I was trying to make.
You mean like?
But that's what I'm saying is the counter to that is you're right, that it doesn't seem like it's valuable because it's not buildable. So to sell it for $1, if you're selling it to the person next door, it does add value.
Okay,
And
so
you should-
what I meant by not buildable, I didn't mean that it was in a flood zone or this or that. What I meant was there are properties, and I can think of one that's close to my property that was like, you know, a 12-foot wide section of land that would, you know, that was just owned by the city that we were responsible for mowing. We were responsible for maintaining the sidewalks and stuff that we never did. So it was of value to us as a city to dispose of that property for, you know, the dollar that we disposed of it for, in my opinion.
Right,
You're meaning
smallest
like
lots are
slivers.
45 feet, 40 feet wide, if you look at the size. So they're pretty small, but it still adds a lot of value to somebody who already owns a small lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A 45-foot wide lot is a buildable lot.
I don't think he's referring to any of these. He's referring to like.
I am not. I don't even know why I should have kept my mouth shut. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. All right. So to take a motion to approve resolution 2025-79 for the advertisement of the city sale of lots,
So moved.
right off?
I'll second.
And Heath. Any further discussion? Last chance? Roll call.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebring,
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Number 15 is resolution 2025-80. This is 5 residential structure demolition bid. And this was the 5 lots identified as 305 East Market Street, 818 East Knuckle Street, 911 North Second Street. The other 2 are on 4th Avenue, 205 and 405. The city spent the bid documents to 5 local contractors, sent those to 5 local contractors and advertised locally. We have a mandatory pre-bid meeting on June 24th. And 4 of the 5 attended. In the end, we only received 1 bid from Minor Tree Service. And the bids are 305, 12,000, 818, 12,000, 911, 9,000, 205, 8,000, and 405, 8,000. Due to the fact that only 1 bid was received, SWPCO Trust Fund Board must meet to approve the bid. And they will meet on July 15th. Therefore, Lisa has written the resolution for the council to approve the bid with Minor in the total amount of 49,000 and contingent to SWPCO's approval.
So, you know, I'm really surprised we only got the 1 bid back, but from the prices that we paid in the past to demolish houses, that bid is right in line with what we paid in the past. But like, once again, I'm surprised we only got the 1 bid back.
I think we have discrepancy here, because I'm looking down on this, the handwritten one.
Uh-huh.
205 4th Street, so I have a handwritten thing of 9,000.
Yeah, but it says if you get all 5, you get to deduct.
Okay,
So what
got
I said was,
Oh,
if you get
I'm
both
sorry.
bids, because we did 2 chunks,
it. Okay.
so I just
Broken down
took,
in group 1 and group 2.
so you're deducting 2,000, so I just,
Alrighty.
I know Justin is here, oh, yeah, there you are.
Yep.
So I just said it was 8,000 and 8,000, so we had the
Alright.
deduction off the,
Nice, now I see it, now it makes sense.
so that's how that.
Okay.
Okay,
And it could have been that we remember we might give 1 group if there had been multiple bidders and somebody was cheaper on 1 chunk. The chunks were the 3 grant ones and then the 2 that we added, so.
So is Justin in the audience, sir?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah, when can he get started and how long will it take him?
Well, he has to wait until he's here, but we discussed this already. He has the 15th, he has to wait until we get SWPCO's approval, but based on the letter that I sent to SWPCO explaining what we did, you know, you can't force people to bid. So Phil from SWPCO thought that we would be okay, so then he can start anytime after the 16th. We're still waiting on Mid-Am to make sure that the utilities are out, and then I think Justin, you said a day or so.
48 hours.
Right, then he'll call in the Iowa one call locates, that'll be a couple days, so either late next week or hopefully the week of the 24th, and then I think you're planning to do all, just kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
all 5 right away.
Nice, nice, nice. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
And are we using our dirt to fill in those holes? and
In the
everything?
bids, yes, Justin is to take the dirt from,
We're not hauling it,
no.
Okay.
It's just that to get rid of that dirt,
right?
it'll probably be that the lower quality dirt will be used to fill in the basement, and then he'll come and get some of the topsoil.
And I'm sure they all have basements, right?
Well, there's one,
There's one that.
right, Justin, one, and
Yeah.
Chris, I think one on 911 Second Avenue, I think is the one without a basement.
We're taking out all the brick in the basements and everything.
So the walls come out and then punching holes in the basement floor for drainage.
Gotcha.
So that also helped us save a little bit of money.
Yep. Saves a big chunk right there.
Thank you, Justin.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. But take a
I would
motion.
recommend approval.
I'll motion to approve resolution 2025-85 for the 5 residential structures demolition.
Bradley?
From minors.
Yes,
Second.
and Lester. I gotta get used to saying that.
I know.
Roll call.
Bills,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebring,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Bradley.
Yes.
Number 16 is resolution 2025-81. This is the culvert and drainage way to clean out bid. It looks like we received several quotes, 3 quotes from Minor Tree Service for $12,500, the Green Tree Company for $16,500, and Caleb Orm with Orm Outdoor Landscaping for $24,300. The resolution is to accept the low price from Minor Tree Service. And the funding will come from the Stormwater Fund, which generates revenue from the monthly charges on the utility bills.
Did we just do one in back of,
So just one that comes across from Dollar General, and
Chrysler.
that one?
then it
Yeah.
goes,
Sir, wasn't there one in back of them too?
well, there's the one that was along the Belt Farm and the Chrysler dealership. We did that one earlier in the spring that Green Tree did.
Yeah.
And then this one is across from the Y, just north of Cherry Street, and then goes between Nature's and Hy-Vee.
Because it seems Hy-Vee needs a lot more work, the one there.
There's a lot of like rubbing that he needs to get out. The biggest issue from a drainage perspective is that the culverts underneath the highway, which are about a 3-foot culvert, are almost completely filled in.
Built in.
So as
Has
the
it ever been
contract,
done?
it hasn't been done in a very
So-
long time.
They have complained about that forever.
Isn't this something that should be put on a maintenance
Yes.
program?
Yeah.
Because I can see this happening again, you know, if we don't maintain it, it's gonna cost us more.
That reminds me, it's the one over by American Hydraulics because of the
Yeah.
townhome project. Is that one that's gonna need it too? Cause we know that, no, okay,
Shouldn't, I mean, they dug out some of them,
okay,
but they did the
the
road.
contractors did. Okay, never mind, sorry.
Yeah, it seems to me like we should do it at least annually.
Do we have a time frame on this?
Pretty soon, Justin, what was your plan?
Yeah, they'll be with the houses, sometime in July.
I'll be busy, man.
All right,
Depends on how much rain we get. We got a lot of rain, it's gonna be metal, so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Really depends on the rain.
yeah. Greg, I want to do that.
We appreciate Nature's and Hy-Vee working with us.
Yep.
There'll be on the Hy-Vee side, there'll be some sort of protection down above, you know, on top of the asphalt to make sure that it's not wrecked, but we appreciate Jason Orm, and then there's a Jason over at Nature, so Justin knows that he'll work with them to make sure we don't wreck anything over there.
I appreciate all the bidders too, so. I would make recommendation to approve. Just need a motion.
So moved.
Bills,
Second.
right off. Any other discussion? I agree with you, Karen. Roll call.
Right off,
Yes.
Hebring,
Yes,
Lester,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Number 17 is ordinance 2025-11. This is the nuisances, grass and weeds. This is the second of 3 readings.
Yep, And remember, we're just trying to be more proactive, and make it easier for us to keep, we have a lot of complaints right now between the rain and the heat that we're trying to deal with. So this will, going forward, every spring we'll put an ad in the paper reminding citizens, and we'll obviously put it on Facebook as well, reminding citizens of the expectation that our code requires 6 inches is the highest that we allow grass to get, and if not, you're in violation. And then from there, going forward, we can just put door hangers up. Bree was comfortable with us doing door hangers either way as a notice. It didn't previously require anything like a letter. But we used to send letters. So when you look at how long it takes by the time we notice that it's bad enough, we're mailing you a letter, hoping you get back to us, and now it's a haven. So not super effective. I've already ordered the door hangers. They'll be ready probably this week. So I know that in the absence of a specific NACO officer, between myself, Brad Baker, Chris, and the 2 chiefs, we're all kind of tackling nuisance and dividing and conquering to try and get it. So we've got a few that need to get notified right away for mowing.
And once they get that door hangers at 48 hours. Correct?
2 days. And then
2 days, yeah.
And a lot of communities, and kind of have to see if we get more aggressive, how the other thing that we'll bring to the next meeting is an administrative fee. So on top of whatever it costs us to mow your lawn.
Right.
That there needs to be probably a $50 to $75 penalty. Like it shouldn't be an incentive to have us come and mow your lawn because it's just as cheap. Like it's not to get money out
They're
of
pretty
people.
much getting back cheap if it's
Right.
that much, right? They're-
So one of the things, although again, this is a cost to the city that you then can put on the tax lien and get back. But some communities will actually bid out that service and say, instead of us trying to fit it in amongst our city staff, that you would have a contractor like Orms or somebody that does landscaping work. You would put out a bid to say, basically you're on call for us, that when we, would warn them like, hey, we just hung a tag at this property and this property, and in 48 hours, if they haven't done it, you come, we pay the contractor to do it, and then immediately turn around and bill it out. And again, the incentive should be to never have us mow your lawn. It should be much more expensive for us to do it than for you to hire someone yourself.
So would the RFP wait until next spring?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully we can figure it out, but
Okay.
again, when we're doing other people's lawns, we're not taking care of our city properties. And
Is it possible too, to add that in the spring to like the utility bill or if we get to a newsletter? Something that
Yeah.
goes out to everybody in their bill.
yeah, we can, there's plenty of room on the bills now to be able to say, reminder, 6 inches, get out your ruler.
Good job. All right, this is the second of 3 readings.
No, it's
Can we
yours.
do it?
Do it.
I move to approve the second reading of the nuisance grass and weeds order.
I'll second.
Lester and Fredo. Roll call.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
right up.
Yes.
All right, number 18 is discussion about the June citywide cleanup event.
So we talked about this a little bit at our special meeting that we had, but we weren't publicizing that meeting. So, kind of looking for feedback. I think that at least when we talked about it, we all agreed that, it was successful. We, I think that Shenandoah Sanitation was a huge asset to us in terms of just a company that's done it before. We appreciate our local contractors that have been here for a long time doing what they continue to do, but I think this sort of opened everybody's eyes to understand that this is much bigger than, just having a dumpster or 2. And so we're still.
And we picked the hottest day of the year.
And I think
Hottest
Jason is, Jason from Shenandoah is here, so if anybody has any questions, but we really appreciate their help. It was kind of a 2-day operation that was different because they had their routes out on Friday. Obviously, the rear loads make it a lot easier, but those were busy and I think their extra trucks were down. And so, day 1 on Friday was really more roll-offs. And then day 2, and did it end up to be 70 tons? Do you remember?
Somewhere around there, I didn't.
Somewhere around 70 ton of garbage that we got rid of. And so I'm not ready to, I would like to present it when we have one big final number instead of kind of
Right.
piecemealing it, or that's what's gonna get out, that it's whatever number it is. So we're looking at, we obviously have the Shenandoah bill. We had the tire recycling, those are all kind of fun numbers, but we had 12.4 ton of tires go out the door, go out of town. Kansas can keep them at their recycling location. We had, I'm not sure exactly, it doesn't really give numbers on the e-waste bill, but it was a significant cost. It was actually more, I think the tires of the three were the cheapest, and so we'll be looking at that number, and then kind of waiting on, we did radio ads, we just got the KCSI bill for that. We have an ad in the paper, so we'll add that. And then I think our biggest thing that we also have to look at is city manpower has to be part of the equation.
Yeah.
You know, it was a massive undertaking of pretty much everybody, minus police and fire who, you know, weren't on call, but every other person in the city, city hall, everything. So we do wanna kind of get feedback from the council about having our next event in October. One weekend we'll need to avoid is when Shenandoah has already booked the Shenandoah event, which is the middle weekend, so.
Are you talking curbside?
No,
or the
not yet.
same
I think,
thing?
I think we should do another drop off at
Okay.
least to start. One of the things we talked about is maybe not doing 2 full days. And also we kind of have to look at, which I want to talk about at the staff meeting tomorrow, is that there will be school in session. And so a little bit, kind of have to think through that with our route. That maybe we do something slightly different, but, what we talked about is maybe having like an afternoon on Friday and maybe Saturday only till 1 o'clock. You know, it worked well because it was never an intense line, and that's obviously one thing that we have to think about is if we get less time, you know, it does cost us less, in terms of manpower, obviously. So we're gonna talk about that tomorrow at the staff meeting and then with Shenandoah, but I think, again, we only bid out the prices for the one, but I do think knowing now how it went, I just don't think that our 2 local haulers have the ability to provide us with as much manpower as we clearly
How many home
Need.
pickups did you have?
90.
90? Do
It-
you,
Go ahead, Sharon, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
you
to-
have plenty of volunteers then for the,
I don't know that we can do that again. Like it was pretty intense for the volunteers. We either, like we've talked about that as a staff, either we have to do that the day before and our city staff has to go with like the loader to be able to drop it directly into something that's going into a dumpster, because it was pretty gross. And we didn't have a good way of dumping it from their trailers. Now Adam of everyone here, and then Justin also volunteered, so we got a couple people here that did it. You know, some of it wasn't terrible, but like the appliances and the tires are easy to pick up, but some of it was difficult to manage.
Well, we rolled up onto a place and the lady thought we should clean up her whole backyard. And,
Yeah.
and we specifically say, get your stuff to the curb.
yeah.
No, and she didn't even own the place either, and it was years of debris back there. So we gotta stop that. I mean, we can't expect volunteers to go clean up a person's whole backyard or.
Well, we asked them to take it to the curb, but did you?
Yeah, apparently that doesn't work with everybody. They don't figure that part out.
Right, I mean, we had personal conversations, are you gonna be able to bring it to the curb? The only thing, there were a few people that said it'll be
Right.
right in my garage, and we're like, okay,
Right.
that's fine.
No, and I went to one where we picked up everything, but then it was for recycling. You know, we're not gonna take that to the recycling for you.
Right.
You know, they've gotta draw a line, to it, you know. And people's garbage, I mean, we can't be picking up bags that have months of debris in it.
Yeah.
That's not safe for any volunteer.
Well, that's why we need a nuisance officer.
But it's stored in their garage and it's out of sight, out of mind.
No, I understand that as well.
Anything else?
Now, we'll report back with the cost,
So you're thinking maybe like.
it'll
earlier
either
part?
be, I think, was it the teens that you had Shenandoah already, like,
The
yeah, so it'd either be like
10th?
the
11th?
10th or the 24th, we have to
24th?
decide, but I wanna check again with school, like, can you check when is homecoming? Is it usually in September?
Somewhere.
That's the last thing we need to be, is like, oh, bring your
Yeah.
crap and get ready for the dance.
It is. It usually fluctuates.
Yeah.
So Adam, I don't know if they must know, right? Your AD.
I
Can you
hope
check?
so.
If you don't mind checking, we just wanna make
Yeah.
sure there's no other conflicts.
Good.
It's not a good thing to mix. The other thing that I've seen in other communities, and I have no idea if the Goodwill in our area does it, but in my last city, we had our cleanup weekend, and then we also had like a Goodwill trailer that also came, so that, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it was good to get rid of garbage, but there were clearly things that could have gone in a Goodwill truck that did not need to go in the garbage, but when you don't give people like an easy way to get rid of it.
I saw one really nice bed and one wicker stand, and I thought, oh, I could have sold that.
She'll be like scooping things for the estate sale. Thanks for saving us on our landfill. So anyway, we'll look at that, but we'll report back. You know, I would think in 2 weeks, we should be able to give what the numbers are. There's no doubt that we will in no way need to add to the $4. I mean, again,
Right.
if we go to curbside, game on again, like that could be a whole nother ballgame, because when everybody can put it out at the curb, you get a lot more
Do
stuff.
we have, numbers on the paint?
All I know is that it had to be over 1,200 cans of.
I mean, there's a lot of paint.
It was a
I mean,
lot.
that's a lot. Are we gonna do that again? Because I mean, that took a lot of manpower. I mean, trailers.
We can obviously ask John Gross if he's interested. We don't certainly have a place. He said he had some retired farm that wasn't actively farming, that had critters, like a critter barn or something, or pigs, I think it was, in the Villisca area, that he took all the cans there to just sit and dry out so they could be disposed of.
Okay.
But that was my thought originally, was if you stay, you're gonna take paint cans.
Yeah,
Everybody
I
has
think-
paint cans.
I don't want to be, if somebody's stuck with all that, then
Yeah.
Well, that
No,
can be
we-
a problem if we don't know where it goes. I mean, if it just leaves town and we have no idea where it goes after that, that could be an issue.
He'll properly dispose of it. I'm not concerned about that, but it is, to your point, a huge undertaking.
yeah,
Obviously, there was a need,
right. Oh, I agree.
but you know, I guess you could also invest in like having the coagulating stuff. I don't know how long that takes to get ready, but you could do that and actually just dispose of the cans also.
No, I was thankful they took it, but I just wondered what was the aftermath of this? Where'd it go?
I don't know. I just kept looking at the pile getting big.
Yeah, yeah, big.
Well, again, thank you to all the volunteers that showed up and helped, all the people that went and picked up items and went over and above your call of duty by far, and all of our city staff for all your time that you dedicated to helping. I think y'all had fun. I do think we had fun. The transformer blew right above my head, which was a little scary. It was fun. All right, number 19, resolution 2025-82. This is the hiring of Northland Securities to finalize the water and sewer rate proposal. Basically, this is a contract adjustment. We hired them, the study was actually due in March of this year, and they had a workload that exceeded what they could get that done. And so as a result, they're proposing to give us a $1,500 per study deduction off of what we contracted for. So it was $7,500 per study. Now it will be $6,000 per study. So it's saving us $3,000. So, and it would be completed by September 30th of 2025, which we're needing to get that done. So I think that's great. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, we need to get this done badly, and you know, Chip is fantastic to work with. He's just top notch.
That's one thing I will say, that whatever numbers we get from Chip and his crew, I will have no doubt that they'll be valid.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right,
I move to approve.
all right, right up.
I'll second.
And Hickman. Any other further discussion? Roll call.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Number 20 is discussion on the 2 additional stop signs at Coolabah and Highland Streets, 2 to 4, from 2 signs to 4. And Tim and I were just talking about that. We're pretty sure this was supposed to be.
You were a part
It
of
was
that
the first
discussion.
thing, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
already
Yes.
supposed to have
It
been
was,
done.
it was passed.
It got left, it got missed in, cause you remember that, don't you, Chris? That was in a discussion that we'd already had, and it just didn't get included at the time we updated all of that, so it technically should have already been done.
Yeah.
Section.
And
Yeah,
that is-
I will say I did get one negative call about this situation. I would like to, hear from Chris or the chief or somebody about it, but yeah, I don't remember talking about it before, actually.
You already had
Yeah,
that.
you weren't, I don't think you were in those meetings we were having, but it was, I mean, Chris was a part of that, Chief was there.
Yeah.
Janice and I were in those meetings when we all talked about that kind of stuff, and this was brought up as part of that plan. It just didn't get included in the original.
It's
When
it's
we
such
did
a big intersection and people fly through it that if someone, I worry about the little kiddos.
Mhm.
A lot of kids in that
There, they
neighborhood.
cross there and it's such a wide intersection.
It's not
Right.
square,
Yeah, it's not square.
it's not square.
Well, I
Yep.
think the biggest thing that's weird is when it's a two-way, usually two people that are looking at each other are stopping.
Mhm.
But it's not.
So when
Yeah.
the person who's supposed to stop sees somebody coming right at them and they assume that the person across from them is stopping. So I had a lady call, that's when I brought it up with the chief and she was like, I almost died and I almost got sideswiped and the person didn't, like just super upset. About kind of a near miss. And so I don't really have any reason that I need to drive over there very often. So I had to get myself oriented.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, it's a two-way, but and the lady was trying to explain it. And I was like, I cannot
Never
understand
been
what you're
right.
saying.
It just has never been right.
It's
It's
just
just a
never been
speed
right.
zone.
You just don't normally have two, one in
So
each
close.
direction. Well, it's just, you either have these two looking at each other stopping or these two, not these two. And then these two are not, which is why I kind of drew up the map so that it's in the packet for you to like, the
And I
two
can-
red sides are.
I can
stopped.
attest to the speed at which people come around that corner and put back.
People that are coming down Cool Ball here
It's
usually take a left on that
ridiculous.
instead of going straight.
So the fast people are the eastbound on Coolbaum and whipping up Highland.
No, not necessarily. I mean, I have to.
Okay, going either way or going,
Well, yeah, you
south on, or going south
On
on
Highland to turn west.
to go on to Cool Ball. I mean, it's just,
And
you're
even
going,
east across there on, to go straight east, they
Yes.
just fly
Yeah.
there.
it needs to be a four-way stop.
I'm passionate about that one, let me
Yes.
tell you.
I
It's
think
just-
the
just a-
result of this discussion is that we need
So
to
we
go
can
ahead and make
proceed.
that
If you, if
adjustment.
you look at the intersection's a rectangle or a diamond shaped, it's.
Do we need to do an ordinance update on that then?
Yep.
Oh, what's interesting is I found, like, I was in the stop sign department of the code looking. I had a hard time finding it at all. Then I found the two. Then when I was on vacation this weekend, like looking to write it up for you, then I I was looking on a smaller screen. So I was looking in the section that I thought was the stop signs to then come upon the yield signs. And it lists that they're under stop and yield, but nothing about the two that I have blue. So you actually have a conflict it says you shall yield and stop. Like in two sections in the red section, and then it says nothing about the blue section. So yes, it has
So
to,
just,
It just
just
needs-
stop signs.
stop signs are in the code specifically listed, so we'll bring that up.
Actually, there's something
Yep.
else on I could left out.
It did. So the other part that got left out was between Eighth and Boundary. On Cool Ball, there's supposed to be no parking in that section as well, not starting after Boundary. It's supposed to be all of Cool Ball. That got
Culver
missed as
Street was
well.
supposed to go to Eighth Street.
Okay.
That was
That's the
part of
other
those
one that left
original
out.
discussions as
Let
well.
them fix both at the same time.
Sounds good.
Good deal.
I'll talk to you about that on the
All
side.
the way, now it's just, now it's
Sounds
like
good.
2/3 the way.
Number 21 is upcoming city council meeting will be a regular meeting on July 21st. 22 is reports, city administrator.
So our ever confusing water sewer line maintenance letters went out where everybody gets those insurance things and it turns into fun comments on Facebook about.
Now.
Yeah, so I just posted before I came here that reminding people, and I did talk to one of our local, I had a gentleman in this morning who was like acting like we were trying to harm every local insurance agent by trying to encourage people to go with this company instead of. And I guess in the last few years, it has become more common to have coverage, but it is an extra rider. So kind of what my post on Facebook was, whether you have a company that doesn't offer this as an addition, and at least you have an option, or it's getting you to pay attention to the fact that you should call and make sure that you either have it covered, you're paying for the extra rider, or you're making a conscious decision to risk with the old pipe work that we have. Those bills are not cheap, and most people do not have $10,000 to $20,000 sitting around when those bills come because something breaks. And so there is a benefit to having the coverage, most certainly. And every person obviously has to make a decision on how risk averse they are, if they want to do that or not. But it is, as I explain it to people, the council gave permission to mail it out. We are not endorsing the company. We are saying that you potentially have a large risk if anything happens on your property. It is an option to have, we're not profiting from this by any means. And so encouraging people to learn about that. I am working with Acorn Development to get the 2 school lots that are now vacant platted, so most likely. At your next meeting, I'm sending out something to planning and zoning to make sure that they know, that we'll be having a meeting on the 21st. Bancroft will be divided into 4 lots and, Webster will be divided into 5 lots. And so,
Which part is this gonna be on?
I thought
Two.
Bancroft was more than 4.
no,
No, it's.
they decided just on 4.
So Bancroft is for 2 on Bancroft, or is this for Webster?
What?
These 2 plats that you're looking at doing, are they
For
for,
both schools.
you're gonna plat both of them? I see
So
what
there'll
you're
be
saying.
9 lots coming.
Got it, okay.
They look nice.
That's definitely gonna
Really
be,
nice.
I think the lower side, the east side, which is on Boundary, will be the 3 lots, and then the top. That's on Broad is the 2 lots, and then. I think the likelihood of the first house being built will be, on the bottom side,
okay.
but.
Yep.
We'll likely have that, and then, this will be getting ready, but it's just gonna show the council when you had your GIS, the authorization to have $5,000 on the new zoning map. So it's done now. And the key will be that when we, sorry, Ashley.
That is so much nicer than where we were.
Inside there.
So what it'll be is it'll be online. And so the plan, I'm gonna have one more meeting with JEO this week, just to make sure that I have a couple questions answered, but what'll basically happen is there will be a legend online, we'll have a link on our website. That shows you a color coding, and then you can actually click right on a parcel, and then we're working on it being linked to Beacon, so you can not only see what our zoning is, but also be able to know like what parcel that is. I kind of had them change some of the colors. I thought it was hard to differentiate between R1, 2, and 3. So they worked on that a little bit. So I have a couple questions on things, but it's basically a searchable document. So if you just want to know if you're a realtor, if you're a person looking at it, you can just go out there and say, enter whatever your address is or the property that you're looking at, and then it'll put a dot right on the map, and then you can see the color code. So we're getting there.
It's so much nicer
Looks
than what
nice.
we had. I mean, it's actually delegated to the types of zoning that it should be.
Right.
Nice,
So anyway, progress.
very much,
Yeah.
good deal.
And then we also, the utility bills went out for the first time from Omaha from the new printers. So that we're still kind of working on. If you notice, the envelopes are obviously now if you got yours in the mail, if you're not an e-biller. But the pre-sorted postage is on the new envelopes, whereas the first time we had to do it with stamps. So that'll save us on the postage. We also sent out disconnects this week, and we used to do those on the mail machine. And so we were able to save money on there because we ordered 6,000 pre-printed envelopes, which is about that 500 a month for disconnect notices, with our goal of trying to get those decreased. So working on that. Ashley's working with USDA on trying to get everything ready for finalizing our application for the money that we would be looking for the sewer plant. She sent an ad to the paper, so again, it might stimulate people asking you questions, but there's a notice that'll go in the paper. I think it was 3 times. Yeah, 3 times in July here. That'll be in the Red Oak Express, kind of advising people that we're looking at spending money on the sewer plant. So we may get questions about that, so that'll be in there. It's not really a public hearing as much as it just invites people to make public comment, and then they would be sending it to USDA. So that,
I think would be great to have like tours of the plant. I'm serious.
yeah. Some
So-
cities do that.
What do you think?
Lisa, I have a question.
Right?
Back in the
I
day.
have a question about our billing. If I'm on ACH, why do you have to send me a paper bill?
Because you didn't
Why
ask us to email it to you.
You still gotta sign up for paperless, Brian.
So we gotta sign up for paperless, me too,
Okay,
I'll
so,
be happy to
so
wait
we
for
do
emails.
have that option.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Check the box.
That's
I was unaware. I didn't check the box.
I didn't know we had to do it.
No,
Yeah.
you don't have to check a box. If you have city ACH, city initiated ACH,
Mhm.
we just have to do two things. We add your email and then we unclick send you a paper bill. So people can also the problem is we don't control mail.
Mhm.
So we are trying to highly encourage people to at least, even if you still want your paper bill, give us your email. Because then at least if there's a delay for whenever you get it on the 5th, now you have 10 days to pay it. But, we've had a few people come in and again, they try to get out of the fees or say they never got the bill. Like every single person knows they have to pay the utility bill every month. And clearly the way that we messaged people about the 15th, there was an absolute dead zone of payments between the 16th and the 20th, with June being our first month that it was due. So everyone did get them out. There was that sticker on the outside of the envelope, obviously lots of attention on social media, talking about it on the radio, in the paper, things like that. So the word got out because all the payments that came in by the 15th, and it was a quiet zone for what would have, if people really didn't get the message. Obviously, our usual days of busyness are the 18th, 19th, and 20th. We were closed on the 20th, so that actually worked out well for, that was the cleanup day, so. But anyway, those are the first ones that went mailed. They printed, again, we kind of talked about that last time, but we got a much better price on the envelopes because the printer printed all 33,000 of them for the year. And so that's what I think we need to do, to get the best price, whatever we need for a year of envelopes. We get a lot cheaper price by, as long as we're not spending 5 years in 1 year, that's obviously not right. So working on that, still kind of working through things with, the software conversion. It's intense for the office to try and get that done. But I think things are going well.
It's definitely flagging things that we needed to get cleaned up and fixed. So appreciate all the extra work you put into getting that done and doing it right. So thank you.
That's all I have.
Are you seeing light at the end of the tunnel with the conversion?
It's a really long highway, but yes, someday. There's just things that we're trying to learn, like the community portal where people can pay. Right now, you can still only pay your utility bill because we have to figure out what account line items we need to get on there. So I'm waiting to get some information from Civic, and then I may have Hannah help with that. She's super techie, smart about things like that. And then a couple other things on how we collect money. Susie's got a few things. For the most part, it's going well, but we haven't done anything yet with having the online submission of your time off or your time
For
period.
payroll,
So
Yeah, I know we needed to do this conversion, but I don't think anybody on the council was aware of how much extra work was going to be required to make it all happen.
yeah, I can honestly say I've never been through a software conversion this big. But everyone that you talk to basically says it's one of the worst things that you can do.
Mhm.
They're super intense, and you don't know what you don't know till you know. So we didn't know all these things that were kind of lurking out there, large amounts of utility bills that were unsettled. So we're also ramping up to try and send off the list to the set off program. Which, remember, it'll be 800 utility accounts that are delinquent that'll go, and then everybody will get a note from us in April if they try to do anything next year with their taxes that will intersect it. So hopefully we get some cash out of that.
All right. For me, the Safe Streets for All program, I don't know, Denise, if you remember me mentioning this. This is a federal program. MAPPA, when I was at MAPPA, we worked with putting together an application that would combine MAPPA and SWPCO's region so that we could do one major application, and we won it. And so what this will be, and we have now put together they call it a Safety Technical Advisory Group, or STAG. Our group includes myself, the city administrator, our chief, both police and fire, Chris Baird with streets, Ron Klaber with the hospital, Chris Cachette as our EMS captain, Ron Lorenz with the school district, and then someone from our trails group. And basically what we're going to do over the next 8 to 10 months is look at our crash safety action plan or create a crash safety action plan. This will include capital improvements to intersections, crosswalks and sidewalks where we have the highest crash or fatality incidents. And so the other communities involved in this are, besides Red Oak, is Atlantic, Clarinda, Shenandoah, Harlan, Glenwood, and Missouri Valley. I'm pretty excited about it. Our first meeting will be July 8th, tomorrow, from 1:30 to 3:30. It is virtual, so I think this will be an eye opener to where we've had some frequent accidents that some have been pretty major, so it'll be a good step in the right direction. Also, I was invited as one of 6 mayors to participate in the mayor's design workshop. Basically, in July of 2022, the College of Design with Iowa State University hosted the Mayor's Institute on City Design. This was a long-standing national program sponsored by the National Endowment for the Arts and the U.S. Conference of Mayors. The program brought together mayors from 6 cities from across the U.S. and 6 nationally recognized design professionals to discuss challenges, urban design issues from each of the 6 cities. And last year, Iowa State held their first inaugural Iowa Mayor's Workshop, design workshop modeled in large part to this approach and tailored to our Iowa environment. The event featured last year mayors from Atlantic, Cedar Falls, Council Bluffs, Fort Madison, Marshalltown, and Ottumwa. And this year, we'll be participating along with Mayor Rick Murphy of Algona, Mayor Doug Elrod of Bondurant, Mayor Dan Scholl of Humboldt, Mayor John Hawkins of Webster City, and Mayor Tom Lenders of Winterset, and myself. It actually kicks off tomorrow night. They are putting us in a hotel, and it'll be a 2-day event, all day Wednesday, all day Thursday. It's intended to inspire collaboration, problem solving, and exploration of innovative and cutting edge solutions and cultivation of supportive and enduring relationships. What I wanted to share with you all is, as we've talked, and I know I've talked about this many times, our housing values being so low. I can give you these numbers. You might write these down. So Algona, population 5,341. So a little bit less than us. Their average median value of owner occupied homes is 156,200. Bondurant's, which is population 9,500, theirs is 288,600. Humboldt is a little lower than us at 4,761, and their average is 162,600. Webster City is a little bigger than us. They're at 7,700, and their average is 115,400. Winterset, theirs is actually higher than this. They're about our same population size, and theirs is 181,500. The state's median is 195,900. So the average state's 195,900. What do you suppose Red Oaks is? 91,600. So when we look at the cost of operating the city and trying to spread those costs based on the revenue we receive from valuation of property taxes, this would be why we have to make up for some of the loss that we're not capturing in those valuations. So we are significantly lower than other people. And so that's why I think the valuations, it's painful to see our valuations go up, but it needs to be a level. It needs to be a level based on some type of a formula that actually is more fair. So.
Well, I hate to interrupt, but that's the whole idea of all the programs we have going to clean up our town and to increase and improve property valuations.
And add more new value.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep. And housing in other areas nearby us, it is much higher. It is much higher. It's almost double pricing of what houses here are selling for. And so it's just definitely something to look at. Anyway, that's all I have.
I have two more things that I
Yes.
forgot. One is, I just got the press release, but I'll be sending it to all of you on July 30th. We'll be doing the kickoff to the Brownfields grant.
Oh, yes.
There'll be
thank you.
people from EPA here. If the weather behaves, we'll have it on Oak Street at the, what do we call the old No Frills building? Was it actually named that? Why is it called?
It was called No Frills.
It was a store.
We nicknamed it No Frills.
Yeah.
The one on Oak. No frills.
That's nice.
Because that's one of the brownfields. So the whole point of this is to help clean that stuff up. So that'll be July 30th at noon. I think the mayor.
The owner to come.
The owner is aware, and then it'll be EPA. Yeah, he had to agree to have that be one of the properties that was listed in our original grant application. So the EPA will be here, public will be invited, the press, things like that, or it'll be going out this week. So there's that, and then the other thing that I should be bringing soon in the next 2 meetings is I have met with JEO to kind of look at some of this floodplain stuff. You know, it's super intense and a lot of money, and I don't want us to pretend like we have millions of dollars to spend on that right now, but it is going to take a significant amount of time just to update a 2018 plan. So what I'm gonna bring forward is how do we update the plan? And then we all talk about this pump to be able to get installed at the creek and to help. And like, before we all think that that's the answer, we really need to understand what would change in the footprint of the floodplain if you actually did that. Because if you're gonna spend 3 million on it, and then you're gonna do what to property values? You know, it's not to give up on that area, but we have to understand the math. It can't just be at any cost, we're gonna eliminate the floodplain.
And to piggyback on that, this mayor's design workshop, Red Oak's project is around the Red Oak Creek. And the flood issue, looking at our flood risk area. So it'll somewhat, complement what JEO has done, and they are aware of that study. So it won't be replicating it. It will be looking at other alternative ways of helping to reduce that area that's impacted by possibly utilizing the ponds outside in the county, other types of ways of doing vegetation, cleanup, widening the river, all types of alternative, innovative ways.
Your biggest challenge
Is property ownership.
Well, yeah, the property ownership, because you don't own it,
Yeah.
for one thing, and your other challenge is gonna be, I mean, we have that, and I look at it all the time every time I cross the road.
Yes, we do.
And a lot of times when I'm out and about in early mornings, it isn't so, it has trash in it, don't get me wrong, it does, but it's the trees that have fallen. And they're major trees, it's not like you and I are gonna be able to go run and pick that up and move it over, I mean, they are major, and I remember back in the day when we got 10 inches of rain like twice in 1 month. It was what moved the logs that plugged everything, is why that creek flooded.
I see.
And so that's gonna be a huge, not that it can't be done.
Yeah.
But it's gonna take more than just volunteers to get those trees moved because they're major.
So that being said, Janice, I mean, if in fact we don't have ownership of that property and it is somebody else's property, can we not require them to clean that up?
They're supposed to.
They're supposed
It
to,
would
but
be,
You're talking 100-year-old cottonwoods that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we have no authority in there, then we should have some type of, recourse to clean it up.
But Brian, and then you're gonna go to the part of town that is the most challenged. To be able to make them do that would be hard to
Yeah.
do.
I understand what you're saying about when you say challenge, but once again, if you look at ownership of these properties, a lot of those properties that you say are owned, they're owned by people that have tons of money and own 20, 30, 40 properties.
Can you get some kind of a,
Yeah, that's true.
so we'll talk about all kinds of
Yeah, I mean, it's a great
innovative
idea,
things. Yeah.
it really is.
to get their approval to go in? If you had something signed with approval that someone else could go in
Yes.
and take care of that.
These are part of the obstacles that we'll be kind of working through together as a group. So they sent us they call it a briefing book. And so they all came to our communities, to each of our communities, met with Lisa and me, toured the Red Oak Creek, took pictures. They put together what they thought the project scope should be. They put together the questions for us to be asking. And then this briefing book is almost 100 pages between the 6 cities. So our bio and our demographic data and all of those things and all the challenges are all in there very nicely. And once that is able to be shared, we'll be able to get you copies of all that. They just are keeping it confidential until after our meetings this week. So I do believe they dropped a press release about it. So anyway, I think it's gonna be really good for us in the long run. It might help us look at a different angle than maybe we've been. And then the other piece of it is helping to establish maybe some type of a revolving loan fund or something that can help support improvements to some of the homes in the core part of town, not necessarily south of the creek, but maybe north of downtown, between Broadway and 8th, whatever that area ends up being.
Are you talking about something that we would own and manage as a loan fund, or is that something run through somebody else, or what?
Well, it would be a way of matching our set off money. That is for.
Oh, for the LMI?
Yeah, I don't know how it would be managed. That's what I'll learn while we talk about it, so.
I like the idea of having funds available for people that want to do those kind of improvements, for sure.
Yep, good deal. That's what I got. So city council. Who wants to start? Adam?
Sharon can go.
Sharon.
Oh.
Please.
Well, it's been a busy month, so, we had our hospital auxiliary meeting, our citywide cleanup, of course, and I just have to applaud all the volunteers that helped because those were really hot days and I really appreciated seeing the community respond. We had some people that went through 3, 4, and 5 times with loads, which was great. And then I couldn't believe all the tires that went through. I mean, that was
Like tires.
anyway, kudos to everybody that helped. The cemetery walk went great. A lot of people came from out of town. We had over 100 that participated and it was really great. The cemetery walk, the money goes towards, reconstructing brick entrances that have been not done anything for years. Last year we did 4, so hopefully we'll have enough money to do, at least one of the, other entrances, but people loved it and it gives us a lot of background on the history of our community and what our forefathers did to get this community going. So that was great. I attended the ambassadors and the ambassadors also did the flight breakfast this year. I cracked about 60 dozen eggs, just so you know. And also helped with ROAR, which the Red Oak all class reunion, and you see a lot of people that you haven't seen for years and that's always fun. And then the downtown beer garden that the chamber sponsors, and we had some great bands and a lot of great participation. And the Rotary does the pancake breakfast, and that was great. Tim always helps with that. So thank you for all those. The one thing I wanted to tell you was I wanted to send out condolences to Shirley Billings.
Yes.
She lost her son this last week, and she is on our historical committee for the city and also with the DOR. So I did attend her funeral and I feel bad for her, but anyway, she's a great part of our city and that's the history of our city.
Yes, he was young. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me a couple of things, Jan. Forgot about the pancake man and I helped with the cornhole tournament as well. It was just a great weekend. YMCA board meeting, we've been having many Red Oak area partnership meetings. And several MCDC meetings as well, so keep it busy.
Yep, Adam.
Clean up. Junction days, done.
Watering flowers.
Water flowers every 2 days.
In lieu of Brian not being here.
Yeah, hurry up, get back ready.
Brian, did you attend anything other than county supervisor virtual meetings?
Oh, so you're gonna steal my thunder, huh? So I did. I attended those via Zoom, and I also, y'all missed the opportunity to brag about attending our special budget meeting, and which I attended, and I've been loving up on my new grandbaby Claire.
I'm not making for you.
Yeah, good. Good. Janice?
I actually have some. I didn't think I would, but I do. I'm still on MCDC, so I've been to those meetings, and that's always very interesting. I did the cemetery walk, and that is always fascinating. And I can't remember the stone that we were at where he was always, his house was always with a great view. But his stone also, when you looked out, it was a beautiful view of the town of Red Oak. And that's, his family brought him back and purposely buried him in that spot. I just think those stories are kind of cool. And then, I'm gonna always plug the theater, so we this summer have done, we've brought in old movies and we've had our, like the Red Oak Child Development Center, all the area, daycares that wanna come, we have 4 times in June, 4 times in July, where we offer those movies to the little kiddos. They don't care if it's old. They're thrilled to come get the theater experience. They have popcorn and a little drink, and you cannot believe how much popcorn there is on the floor. But it's fun. They have a good time. So it's a good service that we do for the community also. So
Good deal.
anyway,
Awesome. One last thing I meant to mention too is the townhomes are now
I
going up.
saw that.
So I did post a post on my Facebook, on my mayor page.
Yeah.
And I was in Nebraska City this last weekend, so I took pictures of those that, this is what they're gonna look like. And they are really classy. They're really nice.
So
So,
those have been up for a couple of years, haven't they?
They have.
And they still look good.
oh yeah, they really do. And
And
you
are
know,
those
that
rentals or did they sell those?
they're rentals.
Okay.
And the goal is they plan for their kids to own those, so it's, they plan to take good care of them. I can tell you that the first 33 are what the goal is to get done between now and December. And now they've got all the foundations poured for the first 33, they're working on the, getting everything up.
So when will some of them be ready?
They told me September would be possibly the first one,
That's what I thought.
and then one a month is what they said. Depending on how November, December are, those may go into the spring.
That's true.
But then the next 26, they are still considering whether those are gonna be rentals or to own. They will be new. They've not done duplex walkout basements. So those circle corners for both those circle drives, those will be walkout basements. So those will be a lot larger, and I have a
Those will be
I'll
for
be
sale.
curious to see if they're for sale. They're at least not
I thought
shutting
phase
out
2
that
was
idea.
for sale.
They've never done for sale units before. That's not their business
It's not.
model. Their
Oh, they
business
haven't.
model is just rental units at this point.
Okay.
They've not, but we'll see. They know that that's what we would like to see them do.
So would the maintenance be
Yeah.
done by a local company?
The maintenance is done, that they take care of it all. I mean, I don't, probably, they're trying to use as many local contractors as possible.
Okay.
So, yeah, and they're all local. I mean, the one contractor's from Nebraska City, the other one's from Glenwood. Engineers.
Do you have an idea of what the rentals were and
They're between 12 and 1,400. And I had somebody comment that this is unrealistic for Red Oak, but any brand new construction is going to be the cost of what it is to do it. And again, remind people that we did work to get them a $1 million workforce housing tax credit, which reduces the cost. And we, the city, put in all the infrastructure and utilities to keep those costs from people having to pay those. So, anyway, I just, yeah. And ours will probably be around the 1,500 to 1,600, maybe less. We'll see what they come in at, but they're not intended for big families. They're kind of a transitional housing is what I call them, but they're 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1-car garage, but they're completely maintenance free.
And once again, like I said, these guys are experts at what they do, and their business model has told them that this business model will work in Red Oak, and that's why they decided to invest here. So I have no doubt that they'll be able to fill their units.
Yep. So I'm excited to see them happen. I'm excited for the EPA to be here, kick off the EPA grant on the 30th. Hope everybody will come. And then you give us this. Is this known for all the employees?
It's the employees, that's not. for
Okay,
public.
got it. All right. with anything else? With no further information, nothing further, I would call this meeting adjourned at 7:04.